we are going through a very special rite of passage in a few days, which is, we speak about Pesach in terms of freedom, but really what is it? I would even want to use a different term, which is the term of human sovereignty. Because freedom, what does freedom means? What does freedom means? Freedom can have so many different meaning, can have so many different interpretation. If you say, for example, if you look at the story of the Exodus from Egypt, and you see that finally, you know, you were slave to the Egyptian, and you come out to actually serve God, you can argue that this is not freedom. You know, so we were slave in Paro before, now we have to serve God. Where exactly did we find freedom on the way? You know, how is that can be called freedom? So that's why I want to challenge a little bit the notion of freedom. And for me, really, Pesach is not really about, yes, of course, we can speak about freedom, but really what we find is our human sovereignty. You see that in the whole process when Moshe came to Paro and said to Paro, you have to let my people go because they have to serve me all the time, the fact that they had a different purpose was in the equation. It was never a matter of you have to let my people go because you make them suffer and they need to be free. Okay? It was always you have to let them go because they have to do something else. Okay? And as soon as they are gone, as soon as they are out, 40 days after, they're already receiving the Torah. They're already like engaged to something else. Was it so urgent to start this process? You know, they're just, coming out of something huge. Was it that urgent to give them this whole thing? And the truth is that, yes, it was urgent. Because if they haven't gone through this, they wouldn't have been able to remain free. It would have been impossible for them to remain free. Why? The human field, let's say, when you see it from the etheric plane, you see how many cords are actually linked. And the people that were with me in the training, they've been able to see how many cords there are actually entangled, they are actually linked to our etheric fields. Thousands and thousands of cords. And really to actually unplug all those cords and be a free electron is like almost impossible because the human being by essence, the first experience that he's going through when he's being born is the experience of separation. And so by nature, human being would always will want always to reconnect to something, to feel connected. And so there are all those cords and links that are getting formed all the time. And if we are not making sure that those cords and links go to the right place, for sure, automatically we get plugged into all kind of other entities, programs, you name it, to what you can be plugged. Okay? It's impossible to find one free human being. It's impossible. You see it on the etheric level, everybody is linked and plugged to so many things. Okay? And that's what Mitzrayim actually represent. All those chains and link and cord, this is Mitzrayim. This is like the tissue of the network that you're plugged into. This is Mitzrayim. Okay? Now, if you want actually to unplug yourself from all of this network, okay, for different reasons, for the reason that this network might not have in mind your best interest, this network maybe is pumping energy from you, this network wants to use your power for their own purpose, it doesn't matter for what reason, but all of this network that is plugged into you does not necessarily have your highest well-being in mind. The only highest superior power that can have your, let's say, your well-being in mind is the one that actually made you. And that gives you the free will to connect to where you want to be connected. And so really actually going out of Egypt and reconnecting to the divine was actually the only way to recover real freedom, which is actually recovering human sovereignty. But real freedom, like in the highest sense that you can understand it, doesn't really exist. Doesn't really exist. You will always be connected to something. Now the question is, what do you want to be connected with? Who do you want to run for, to roll for? Who do you want to invite as a supreme power on this plane? That's the real choice that you have. Because you cannot be a free electron. That's impossible. So it's really a matter of choosing what you unplug yourself from and what you plug yourself into. And that's the reason why when we refer to God, for example, in the Jewish liturgy, every time we say, we speak about God, we don't speak about God who created the world and the planet and in nature. We don't say that. We say, I'm God who took you out of Egypt. And we repeat that 3 times a day. 3 times we do Shema, I'm God who took you out of Egypt. Why do we need to refer to God in these terms? That God that took us out of Egypt. Because that's the only relevant, really relevant matter, is that He's the God that allows you to keep your sovereignty, your human sovereignty. And that if you don't connect there, you are automatically connected somewhere else. For me, Pesach really is, there is so much to say, but we have the chance actually to reconsider what we want to unplug ourselves for. And of course, this is not free. The divine assistance that God gives us to do that has a price. And the price is that, you know, during Pesach time, you know what the price was. The price was that we had to kill the sheep before going. And the people who didn't do it didn't come out. And you know that, you understand the symbolic of what is it to kill the sheep. It's, it's to take the leadership of your own life. And so, yes, it requires some sacrifice. And yes, it comes with a price, this disconnection. And yes, there is a fear of the unknown that is very strong because, that's one of the main resistance for change, is to unplug from what we know in order to go towards something that we don't know, and sometimes it's scary. And so it has a price, but really, at the occasion of Pesach, we have the opportunity to get unplugged from all of those places where our power is misused, and to plug into the right place that allows us to invite more divine light on earth, that allows us to actually restore the divine presence on earth and restore harmony. And one important point that is worth bringing up, speaking about this, is about in one of the journeys we saw how it was important to be present in order to actually keep, to remain sovereign on our field, was to keep that state of presence constantly, because of how we are exposed today in social media, in electronics, in all those devices that are constantly plugged into us. They are also plugged into us on an etheric level. And we explored what's happening on the etheric level with all these devices, and we saw that there are many programs that are getting uploaded into people's psyche constantly on the etheric, and there were hooks and there were things that were getting installed, and so we were, of course, we were looking at ways to uninstall those programs, but what we were seeing is that the moment the people are back scrolling on their devices, and the reason why I speak about that now, because it's like part of this theme of how to recover our sovereignty as human beings and how to actually get free from all those codes and programs and things that are actually keeping us away from our real will, from our highest will. And so that's the reason why I bring this up on the importance, that we're showing the importance of remaining very aware to what we give our attention to, what we allow to come through our field, what kind of information, so because they were showing that the moment we are scrolling on our phones or whatever, we come into a semi-hypnotic state, and in this semi-hypnotic state, anything can come through, any program can be installed, and this is the kind of thing that can actually jeopardize human freedom. All these kind of programs that are installed without us realizing. And so in this experience of liberation, of recovering of our sovereignty that we are going through during these days, even before Pesach, we are getting ready for this, is really about being completely aware of what I want to invite in my field, what I want to host in my field, what I don't want to host in my field, what I do not want to invite in my field, and clearly states that I expelled from my field anything that is not aligned with my higher purpose, with my higher calling. Stating this intention very clearly, it's enough actually to expel from your field anything that is not aligned now with your higher purpose. So emitting very clear intentions is very crucial, because nothing actually can really cross your limits if you are setting your limits properly and delimiting your limits in a very clear way. So it's important to remember that you have the power to do that. And another thing I want to bring up is that one of the reasons why we are getting enslaved is because we are giving away our power. We are giving our power away. Why do we give our power away? Because we believe that we are weak, that we are vulnerable, that we wouldn't be able to actually hold enough power to protect ourselves, or to make it on our own. And so we are made to believe that we are weak. We are made to believe that this power is not actually on, that we need to depend on people, on systems, on governments, on things in order to be protected, to be, you understand? And so one of the important states of recovering our human sovereignty is to recover our power and to stop giving our power away. So one of the things that you can state as well, to remember to state, is calling back all your power, and remember that most of the power that is used to protect you is actually yours. So why don't you get it back and do the job yourself? And so you can decide what you do with this energy. So a lot of the process of Pesach is about that, is about exploring how much of your power you give away, how much of things that are not useful for you actually invite in your field, how much of it you actually authorize or allow in your field, because you think that you need it, but actually you don't. You understand? Or maybe because you didn't know that you could forbid the entrance, or because you didn't know that you were allowing the entrance. So it's very important to look inside, and actually when we explore etheric field of people, realize that how much is inside that people are not aware of, and it's enough to state the intention that you expel anything that is not aligned with your higher purpose, and that what you want to invite inside and who you want to connect to. And so that's why Ani Hashem Elokecha asher hotzitika me'eretz Mitzrayim, the condition for freedom, this is the passage that we're going through in Pesach, is to remember you disconnect from what, but what do you connect to?